from that zone, or from the bridge, sorry, should I say, and up in towards that central position as they have done previously.
Back in and then just towards the northern side.
Got them into that first page. Coming up to the end on a angle, actually, on that fifth match, and Veils and Miramar, they're going an okay performance for them. And I want to see Intruder, as they get this confidence into them, try to show us a little bit zone in their hands, because they have been decisive to get into a good position, rather than try to allow others, we don't have as much confidence in our own skill, we'll let you take the position. Then fighting them out, as we saw in Sandhawk, and that Ruins actually particularly, Intruder, they showed that they can go toe-to-toe, even with the best, even in such a tricky zone like that, as we say, being all the way in Ruins of Sandhawk.
You can already see a couple rotations coming through, like G3 Temper and Yalla Esports, who had that initial engagement, but now G3 Temper turning their attention here towards Myth. We're just riding alongside them, shoulder to shoulder. Need to be a little bit careful though, because we can see quite a bit of damage has already been dealt just from that, Everest position that we saw from Yalla Esports. They really threw a couple of bullets and made some beautiful connections towards G3 Tempter. And I mean, for some of the rotations that we're seeing, we can see that center zone already getting a bit contested, getting a bit spicy. So these are closer to that zone. Oh, this is going to be a spicy one if we're already seeing these fights breaking out before we've even moved on to, our later zones.
Yeah, indeed. Their Slime also still a long way to go, as we say, into that zone. But the inside Gatka side being much more contested now. But the second phase has come through around Gatka. I think there's going to be a lot of priority. I think on those noodle, kind of those chopsticks, should I say, of the Guardians avoiding that competition along the flats, because the problem with Gatka is that a lot of these teams, because it's going to be very flat on the very center of that zone, they are all going to be more focused towards that outside. You can see even the replay here as they do come in off of those more mountainous sides, 90th minute and Virtual Gaming finding each other. But to go back to my point and to say that actually here, 90th minute Virtual, they're still going to continue to fight on these high ground and be positioned like all the rest of these teams away from that open flat center, because it is just going to be so dire being drawn into the center so early and being that target, all of those teams having those eyes down upon you and not having really anywhere to move around.
And you're mentioning, just guiding themselves into the action. You can see Umbra now driving on in to the side of Nassau, who've already got one down, and left, right, and away we go. Wasted going to be finding a second. Now Ragnarok and, of course, Hassan have to recover here. They have to recover their teammates. They have to sort of just hold on to this opportunity. Otherwise, Umbra might take it away from them. But it's looking good so far. Umbra down with Shadowin and PRZ, who have to now move up into the action to try and hold on to this. Ragnarok just getting that heal off, so by a matter of seconds, Ragnarok will be alive and able to continue this fight. As for PRZ and Shadowin, time is wasted. Shadowin's so far off, it's only PRZ that can get involved here.
Struggling as they go up into the fight, and Ragnarok gonna find at least a 1-for-1 trade. Very, very close indeed, but they're still stuck in Ruins. Keep in mind here, Vimari, they had to get out of here. They had to make these revives. He also Slime 4KT moving on into that fight potentially too.
Oh, just coming off of that crazy rotation. This could be exactly what they need to set themselves up for this beautiful Erangel. So coming through now, Shadowin having to rotate out. Just have to get the heck out of dodge here, because that is the only player remaining now for Umbra. Nassau, as you mentioned, they have to recover as quickly as possible, because as you can see, 4KT getting involved with the action. Already throwing a couple of welcoming bullets, as Pronto takes his merry way into the action right between the two teams. And there's still some eliminations up for grabs here.
Unfortunately for the rest of Nassau, Slime 4KT, a very aggressive move on in. I like that they get to clean up those revives. They don't allow those possibilities for multiple Nassau members to escape. And Hassan, going to be the only sole survivor. Yes, they do clean up one team, but then they have to forfeit all the rest of their players, bar one, to try come into this zone. Now, Nassau, they do have some space towards this north side of the zone as it does shift now into phase 3, but they are certainly going to be under a lot of pressure on this next phase and into phase 4 particularly to survive. And yes, even though Hassan, you can see, does get that position inside of the zone, so even though one hero and 4KT come in, collide each other against each other, it's going to be Slime and 01 here that move back into Nassau later.
Oh, it's going to be an interesting one. Out in the zone, taking this fight. Safe trying to get in closer, but a nice return from Storm is going to give them just a little bit of space. Pronto now alongside Storm, trying to get those angles in here to 0-1 to just deter them away from this. They are taking this fight in zone. It is just one of the first or two phases, so not a crazy amount of damage being dealt, but again, time is wasting. You can see Shadowin, the last remaining member of Team Umbra, just a cheeky couple of peeks as well to find Pronto, and Storm now going back into the Storm, getting taken out. We've got down to 2 members here for 4KT.
Still 4KT though, they are beginning to be a little bit split because they have lost their central man. Now we have the 2 edge players. They need to come together, but Umbra, the other team that were in this vicinity, closer in outside of the blue, very comfortable here for them to continue the pressure and pin down actually 0-1 in 4KT, because even if they don't get these exact knocks through on the guns, the blue is doing the work for them, and by keeping them pinned inside of the blue, that's continuous damage and continuous loss of material that these two teams are having. So 4KT, they fortunate they had that ridge to get them across and outside, but they're not out of the danger zone yet, as they lose another there to Rico Infinity, also drawing a close into the zone.
Hey, you gotta be careful of those vehicles. They do sometimes explode when lead is hitting those panels. Now all down to Aimer. Last remaining member here for 4KT, and then we've got 3 teams down to only solos hoping to survive this next phase of the zone. And for Rico Infinity here, they can gatekeep a little bit. You know, they can hold on to this northern side of the zone and just wait for some of the stragglers to try and come on through. They are going to give Aimer just a little bit of space, but out in the zone with 3 phases deep is going to be quite a treacherous drive then for Aimer to try get into safety. And for the rest of the teams, they're obviously focusing on those rotations into safety. Rico Infinity, they're still just, you know, floating around here towards the northern side, just looking if someone's out in the blue that they can maybe just pop a couple of shots at.
And this is a problem, really, for Slime, is it took them 9 minutes to get from Stalbert in onto that zone. Then they took a fight. Yes, I think it was very decisive. They got the eliminations onto NASA, but they should have kept moving, Mari. And because they didn't move further into that zone, they tried to fight versus 0-1. They find a congestion, all of these teams on the northern side coming together, being drawn in by the gunfire and those sounds. As a result, are reduced down to that 1 member as well. So a little bit more move further into Gatka once more. There are a few hills up towards that more eastern side of the zone that I think will be very quickly taken up, but it's who out of all of these eastern teams will be the first to get there.
It's going to be very interesting for these teams that just got out of those engagements, like 0-1 Esports, now down to only Human, who has to try and recover their teammate here, and they have to do so right in the crosshairs of a few teams looking to take them out, specifically Falcon Esports, who are just around the corner, with Slime 4KT now being the first team confirmed out of our first wrangle of the day. We'll have to sit back and watch as the rest unfolds. Falcon Esports now holding a nice bit of a line here, just towards the outskirts, but we'll have to rotate out for now, and just leaves, well, Shadowin there in the same vicinity to maybe make something work. Intruder and Virtual Gaming, though, on the outskirts of this zone here towards Pachinki, they have a bit of an opportunity here to get at least something happening here. Maybe a couple of eliminations, but is that going to be a really worth investment, as they do need to make that rotation in?
Intruder, they have taken up some of these hills towards the eastern side. They have been one of the first teams. There's even more, a few of them here they can potentially try to go for. These squads coming down across those hills still buys a bit of the high ground, but for Intruder, they've got a lot of space to utilize here. They can still to bring themselves down, as we say, move across that ridge. They should be very comfortable pinning down Virtual Gaming, but on the other hand, it's not so comfortable here in between all the members of Oradu.
Oh no. And Orodu, they had such a beautiful sandwich that they've set up here just to pincer Myth and get them taken out, but here comes the flank. It is Twisted coming through to try and pick up all of those juicy eliminations that are just flocking out in the grass. A couple of nades being thrown into the mix as well, and Orodu now having to sit back and sort of take account of what is happening here, with some eliminations going towards them, eliminations towards Myth. It doesn't look like either of those two teams are getting out of here unscathed, especially not with Twisted Minds taking such a beautiful aggression and an aggressive path to confirm Orodu Thunders back into the lobby.
But it's not over for either of these teams surviving Miss nor Twisted Minds, because Conqueror are also there. They've got their own compound. You can see them firing upon both of these teams. So as they come over that hill out of the forest line and out of those smokes, they're going to really struggle, because A, they've already used their smokes and they're not going to have as much utility now to fend off versus Conqueror. But also they're going to struggle because Conqueror have that position already inside the buildings. It's going to make it very difficult for actually Twisted or Miss to go in and just quite bluntly rush that side of Conqueror. So instead, I like what Twisted Minds are doing here in trying to pick off Mist first and take the team out behind them, but are much easier to take out at that.
Absolutely. I mean, you're just making sure that you've got space. You don't need to worry about what's behind you or in front of you, and getting a replenish on those consumables that they've been using to get these eliminations. So now Moment down is going to be confirmed thanks to the Dami taking them down with Farouk and Broly just around the corner, trying to hold on for dear life here as the last two remaining hopefuls for Team Myths. But of course, they've got their backs towards quite a few teams throwing that damage out. Now Broly down, Farouk, the last remaining member here of Myth, trying to just duck behind the smoke. But of course, we've got Twisted Minds slowly but surely pushing on in, trying to get those medkits popped off, and just behind the smoke, it is a lot of danger. It is a lot of lead that will confirm Myth back in the lobby and give Twisted Minds that opportunity, as you said, to not only give themselves some space, but get those supplies back up and running before they go ahead and face off against Conquerors.
Still, you do have to keep in mind, there were a lot of utilities used by Misters to try fend off Twisted Minds, so if they don't live out of that engagement versus Twisted Minds do not have as much utility as perhaps they would have liked versus Conquerors now in the future. Phase 5 has a game continue to shift here versus Conqueror in favour. Is all of these more teams still to come further in onto the zone, in Rico and Infinity Esports trying to edge, but still versus Falcons, who also need to move in onto the zone.
Yeah, this engagement just towards the outskirts of the zone, while it is a fantastic opportunity for Rico Infinity maybe to get a few eliminations, it is going to be costly for them if they take too long here. And we can see with the replay coming through, 01 Esports also confirmed with a crazy flank coming through from one shot. So we're down to 11 teams, as we can see on our screens right now. And for everyone watching, I am very curious to see who's going to come out on top here, because there's so much pressure now being applied to not only Intruders, but you can see the rest of Virtual Gaming and Falcons getting involved as well, just on the top of this hill.
Still, Falcons, they have to come up and versus an entire angry team of Intruders who are all fighting, even Virtual Gaming here, for this position inside of the zone. Falcons beginning slowly to move further up. They have utilized this brilliant use of smokes to actually block out Rico Infinity Esports from the line of sight, and actually now draw Rico as a result in onto Virtual Gaming, but they're doing the exact same versus them, and as a result, Rico, they're fighting on a lot of issues on that vision, but they still land that nade, and that was a beautiful punish there onto those two user utilities by Rico to allow maybe now some space for him to move in, and with the extra shots, Ida stepping up for this team, huge.
Oh, this is insane. A great opportunity for Rico Infinity, which is what we've been waiting for. We've been pressuring them to show us what we know they are capable of. Now turning their attention there towards Falcon Esports, who are down to potentially only one member remaining in the midst of all of the nades and barrage of lead coming through. Yusuf still alive here for Falcon and hopping around to try and get a better position here, to try and be as quiet as possible. But that nade might just be the perfect connection, taking down to half HP, the zone right on top of him, and I do not see how Yusuf is going to get out of there, and there is the confirmation. So down to the 9 teams and down to an opportunity for Rico Infinity to take this further if they can get through Virtual Gaming.
But they still have to worry about this zone. It's gone away from them once more. Virtual Gaming know that they just have to get on into the phase number 6. They cannot be stopped. They cannot be caught outside in the blue. They go into it anyways. Drive back out, desperately trying to find a position, but they're going so far, too far round the circle. And Zeus will be on all eyes of these teams and these players coming in.
Jumping into the middle of these teams, out in the open as the last remaining member for Virtual Gaming, and it wasn't without time that Virtual Gaming got confirmed out, unfortunately. But we can see there's been so many calamities, there've been so many casualties going into these final zones. Twisted Minds, Nassar, and of course 90th minute down to solos, and Intruder Africa now, unfortunately feeling the brunt of damage, not only being dealt by 90th minute, but also Nigma Galaxy just keeping their eyes out on the hilltops. And now they might have to deal with Conqueror, who are pushing up onto their position. Rauf in a little bit of a difficult situation here.
Rauf is a key player. If Rauf goes down for Intruder, I think it's curtains for their team in the first match here. Conqueror, though, a little ball of the nade on in, but it's a nice sidestep by Enigma as they jump on into the building.
Ooh, but that is the confirmation, at least for one member of Nigma Galaxy, who unfortunately cannot really rely on the backup, as the rest of Nigma Galaxy are a little bit more northern up into that zone, holding down, bunkering down, as Intruder also now get confirmed out. And Rico Infinity, they're running on a little bit of a high rise here towards that northern part of the zone, just behind the solo of Nassar. So plenty of opportunities for them to pick up a few more eliminations. And Twisted Minds also seems to be down to one remaining player, as Conqueror continue to look for the rest of Nigma Galaxy here.
Nigma, though, they've done well to fend them off almost, and he connects onto Groza. That would have been huge for them. Sends out another. Groza went back in to the position, and as a result gets knocked. And it's a beautiful nade through from Nigma Galaxy to buy them the time that they need and buy them the space that we need on the south side. And if they can just answer down here, Conqueror, Groza should fall to the last of his health bar ticking down. They have all of his zone available to them, and it's the mercy of the other teams towards how well and who Nigma will decide to take down first.
I mean, at this point, if we're talking about numbers, the only team that can really sort of step up against Nigma Galaxy, purely just from numbers, would be Rico Infinity, finding themselves literally on the opposite end of the zone here, moving in further and further. But Nigma Galaxy not stopping anytime soon, confirming Conquerors. They're confirming that south side, they don't need to worry about it. They do not need to look behind them, but they do need to look ahead. As that zone shifts north, this favors Rico Infinity, and even favors maybe just a little bit the solo from Yala Esports. Now, Rico Infinity, huge opportunity for them here.
Yes, and I think even huger by the fact that 90th minute took down their freaks. So I think maybe Rico, they miss out on a potential opportunity to have actually gone in onto Nigma. There was that final tick, the health bar from 90th to take down one of those Nigma Galaxy members, but as they come back up, it is the zone, thankfully, that saves them here in this engagement. So it's now Rico, they've been gifted this zone towards them. They had to hold the zone now. Nigma should be coming over this hill. It's going to be a lack of information. And with Ragnar off on the side, makes it even more complicated because Ragnar is stopping Rico from positioning correctly versus Nigma coming over this hill. Instead, now, Rico, you can see they're having to utilize those smokes just to try block out a possible Nigma member coming over the top.
And I mean, at this point, this is a huge opportunity for Nigma to move on closer, as Ragnar has been a thorn in the side of Rico Infinity. But it doesn't seem like Yala Esports is done anytime soon. Ragnar very happy to take out anyone. If it's Nigma, if it's Rico Infinity, happy at this point. But will be confirmed out, and this leaves the two teams we were talking about, Rico Infinity and Nigma Galaxy, up for the winner chicken dinner now, with Nigma, unfortunately, a member down, as Rico Infinity slowly but surely move on forward. Hamidi holding this flank, holding this line, getting the information, as Freak is trying to avoid the nades just running at their faces. Moving a little bit sideways, splitting up from their teammates, but a potential sandwich that could come through here. A good crossfire that they can set up to try to take out the members here of Rico Infinity, and here's the first one. Hamidi going to be taking out one, looking for those second. Prestige and ID just holding down, waiting for that information. Trying to get those meds up, trying to get those, whatever they can at this point, just to give them a bit of an opportunity. Hamidi taking quite a bit of damage here. Is going to get confirmed. Is going to go down. It's only Freak left. There's a shot coming through, and Rico 8 Infinity coming through with their first winner chicken dinner of the day, and really giving us a great opportunity to see what they are capable of.
A huge game for Rico Infinity Esports. As a team that's not being decisive, not being in a good position, punish them for it, and show us what we were expecting coming on into this tournament as a whole from Rico Infinity Esports. At least we finally get to see it, though, coming in at the start of this third day.